Here we are to continue our discussion of CSS. In the last video, we talked about pairing fonts up, and we talked about type hierarchy. Let's dig into that a little bit more and consider it with the Zen Garden page, right? So looking at the page that I have here, my hierarchy isn't that great. And the problem at the top here is the text is really large, but there's more contrast on the second line here. So this really, like when you look at the page, this pops out before the text above it, right? So I need to balance that, right? So either this has to be smaller, or it has to change color, or maybe the font weight has to change, right? So I'll leave that up to you. You can design it. Let's take a we'll take a look at it here. But in my page, I have a hierarchy problem, right? So you should look at your pages and kind of identify like where the hierarchy is working and where it's not working, and then think of things you can do to fix it, right? So I think if I recall, this is an H2 right here, the beauty of CSS design, right? So maybe I'll style that H2, right? So maybe I'll add a style here, H2, and let's give it a color. So I'll change the color here. I'm going to choose I think that's the same color that I have up above. So now they're about equal, but this one pops out first, because it's larger, right? This maybe is, maybe that's okay, What if we make it like a little bit darker like that? Maybe that looks nice, right? So I'll do that. Next, the text on the page here kind of has a lot of contrast because it's black on white. It's a little harsh. So I kind of always like to avoid using black and white as colors. So like a really light gray or a light color and a really dark color but not exactly black, right, is a good choice. And the same thing with the light color. We want something light but not exactly white, right? So maybe I'll go to the body tag here, and we haven't gotten into background colors and background images yet, so I'm not going to change the background color on the page, but let's just change the text color here. So I'm going to make all the text on the page. Let's set the foreground color to one of these colors here. Maybe that's like a little too light, right? So the text is smaller, maybe it needs a little more contrast, right? So let's make this like a little bit darker still. And now we're kind of getting into a good zone there. So I think that looks pretty good, okay? So here's another idea, right? Once you've balanced your hierarchy here, you can start asking yourself, like, how are people reading this page? And for large blocks of text, how are they reading it? Okay, so not just like one line, right? Like, are we looking at this whole block sooner than we're looking at this block here, right? So like the whole heading at the top here, right? Versus this next paragraph, right? So also when you see this paragraph here, or this section, I should say, right, Road to Enlightenment, there's 3 paragraphs. And a technique that you can use that they use a lot in magazines and printed work is a lead paragraph. So the first paragraph here can be a different style from the other paragraphs. And the idea is that, if you read the title and you were interested, you might read this first paragraph first just to get another idea to see if you wanted to continue, right? So we usually make this paragraph like a little larger, or, give it a different style so it stands out, right? And even Bootstrap has a lead class that you can apply, right? So it has a built-in class just for doing a lead paragraph, right? So let's give that a try, right? Just for fun, right? So here, I'm just giving some ideas here that you can try out. So I'll put this at the bottom here, right? And actually, it'd be good if we use our comments. So let's do lead paragraph style here. So I'll put a comment in there. So in CSS, a comment begins with that slash asterisk and ends with the asterisk slash. And the browser is going to ignore anything within this block. Okay, so anything between here is ignored. Without this, you'll be adding a comment and, it'll read this as code, right? And that could be a problem because that would be an error, right? So let's make a lead paragraph. Now, I can't add, normally I would make a class name and then I just use my class name wherever it was needed, right? But in our case, we can't edit the Zen Garden page. So what I want to do is I want to get the first paragraph of every section, okay? Right? And that might be a little heavy-handed, right? Because it might get everybody, like maybe there's some paragraphs like or some sections where I don't want a lead paragraph, right? So you can work that out too. Let's just try it this way first for fun. And what we can do is we can use our selectors, right? So CSS, the selector languages, gives us nth child, first child, and first of type. Okay, so first child is always the first element that is a child, right? So in our case, the H1, here it would be the paragraph, here it would be the H3, right? So first child might be a different element depending on, what came first, right? Or which was the first child. First of type says that you are the first element of a particular kind, right? So in this case, this would be the first H1. This would be the first paragraph. This would be the first paragraph here, right? Even though it's actually the second child, okay? This would be the first paragraph down here, right? So we can use that in this case here. So maybe I'll do this. I'll say paragraph colon first of type, okay? And then I'm going to set the style here. Let's set font size to 1.5 rem, okay? Oops, I put a dot there, 1.5 there, okay? And you can see here that the first paragraph in each section is now larger. The line height hasn't changed, so the text here to me looks pretty good, but this looks a little crowded now, so I think I need a little more line height for these paragraphs. So maybe I'll do this. I'll say line height of 1.75 rems. Maybe I need more. Maybe it's got to be 2. I don't know. It doesn't look too bad, right? Oops, I click save there. So anyway, so you could play with that. Maybe, I like this, but maybe the color should also change like a little bit, right? To make it kind of stand out. So let's do that. Let's set color here. And again, like this is the kind of thing like you want to play with this, right? And kind of get it to where you like it. Like I think that doesn't look too bad, right? I feel like I need more contrast, here. Like I think all my colors need to be a little darker, right? Also, this fuchsia color's been kind of bugging me. I'm gonna change it to my favorite color, which is tomato. Right, there we go, right? I think that looks better. Anyway, so there's the concept of a lead paragraph, right? And that also allows us some visual like hierarchy and a little bit of difference between large blocks of text. So instead of just having 3 paragraphs in a row, the first paragraph is a little bit larger, right? And that's kind of maybe nice for the reader. So anyway, so take that idea, try yourself, and apply it to your pages, right? And again, like I just did this as kind of a heavy-handed, solution where I said first of type. So it might be that maybe we don't want this paragraph to be larger, or maybe we will only want the first paragraph in this section to be larger, and then down here these don't need to have it, right? So in that case you'll have to be a little bit more careful with your selectors, right? So instead of first of type, you could use a selector that targets this section, right? And then get the first paragraph in that section. So we could give that a try here. Let's see. What is that? Road to Enlightenment. So it's this guy. So that's in the class preamble. So maybe here I could do preamble and then say descendant paragraph first of type, right? And so that gets this guy, but it doesn't get these paragraphs down here, right? So I'll leave it up to you to decide how you want to do this, and you can get kind of crazy. Maybe take a look at some of the Zen Garden pages. They do some crazy things with the fonts. So and maybe take some ideas from that and apply them to your page. Okay. Again, thanks for watching, and have a great day.